What's up, Rave Kiddos? It's Rave Dad here. Welcome into the channel, the new project. Wanted to share all this information that I've collected over years and years and years. Concerts, festivals, events, whatever you want to call it. My time actually working in the audio industry as well. To share some of the information to help keep you guys safe, make sure you have fun at your festivals, and essentially just be the Rave Dad for all of YouTube, I guess, right? Like no one else is really doing this. Figured this is the best time to do it. So what I want to talk about today is main staging and kind of where you guys want to set up, where I suggest you set up, and where you're going to be to have the best time. So let me show you a map that I kind of quickly drew up, and forgive me, I'm no artist, but I want to show you to give you guys my idea of where the best place to set up. So all right, cool. So what you see on here is kind of a real quick sketch of usually what a festival main stage is going to look like. And a lot of times these are going to be in diamond shape. The reason they're diamond shape is it allows the most number of people to get into that area, and generally they angle them away from another stage. Usually they're in tandem, so you get stage A, stage B, and they want to angle them away from each other, right? Here's the issue that happens, right? A lot of times if you're on the periphery, especially if you're in between the two stages, you will get sound from the other stage, especially if you got two acts that are up against each other, right? It's just going to happen. Sound carries like that, which is why you notice on those outside edges, I have those in red, essentially because you do get echo. It doesn't sound great. It's not going to be the best experience, especially if it's something where you're right. So, but let's say it's the headliner, your consumables are kicking in, the vibe is good, and you're like, all right, cool, where do we want to post up for this main stage? I'm going to talk about working our way from the stage further back and what that really means, right? Now, if you notice, I have the rail in red. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't go on the rail. The rail is a lot of fun. Just be prepared for what the rail is in store for. One, if you go on the rail and you're all spun and you're not given the energy, don't be on the rail. It is not for that kind of experience. Even though you may absolutely love whoever's up on stage, if you're not given the energy, the artist won't give you back the energy. And if you can't do that, the rail is not the place for you. Also, if you're gonna rail, understand that these sound systems are designed to literally blow your eardrums off, right? We're talking about covering multiple football fields in distance and sound. They will hurt. You will get tinnitus. That ringing in your ears will be painful for weeks, if not longer, and you could blow an eardrum out. So if you are going to rail, especially at a main stage at a festival, do not go up there without earplugs. I cannot stress that enough. From firsthand experience, that shit does not go away. That ringing will last forever and ever and ever. So the rail, very subjective, so long as you do it safe. Also highly recommended, put the camelbacks in the front. That way you don't have to worry about pickpockets. It also gives you a little buffer should there be a little bit of crowd crush, and you don't necessarily get a rail right to the rib cage. Okay, just behind the rail, what you notice is I have those in kind of that yellowish area. The reason I say that is this. You don't get all the fun of being in the front row, but you get all the problems of being in the front row. It's going to be tight. It's going to be packed. It's going to be loud. But you don't get any of the benefit of having the rail in front of you to really kind of go ham and enjoy yourself, right? To me, rows like 2 through 5 tend to be pretty shitty experiences overall. I don't recommend it, but if you really want to get up close, it's cool. I understand it. It's a good time. Same thing like the rail, though. Just make sure you're giving all the energy to the artists that they need, because the more energy you give them, the more energy they're going to give back, the better you're going to enjoy the show. Now, let's talk about the 3 money spaces that I put on there. The first one is right in front of the sound booth. The way that these speaker systems are set up, if the sound engineers are going to be controlling it, it's going to sound great if you're closest to them. Remember, they're listening just as much as you're listening, and they're going to adjust it so that it sounds good to them, because if it sounds good to them, they're going to think it sounds good to everybody else. However, if you are right in front of the sound booth, just remember, put your totems down, right? There are probably going to be people behind you. You do not want to be blocking people's view if you can avoid it. It is a pain in the ass if you're standing like right in front of the sound booth and there's like 8 flags right in front of you and you can't see shit, right? So the other 2 options are this. Most sound booths usually have a speaker stack on them. Why is this a plus? One, it gives you a massive totem to collect the rest of your crew. Hey, go to the speaker stack to the right of the sound booth or the left of the sound booth. If you're facing the stage, look for our totem. Generally, you can get your group together really well. The other thing is those speaker stacks aren't usually turned up as high as the main stage ones are, and it will sound really, really, really good because it will not echo. You will get the clearest quality. Those are money places. There's also usually a gap in space right behind the sound booth. So if you do need to bail out, you can. Now, the red areas. Why do these suck? As I talked about, the outside edges, you're going to get echo. You're going to get vendor noise. It's going to sound like shit. If any of you were at Kendrick in Bonnaroo and you were on the outside, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those snare hits didn't sound like they were on beat, or they sounded like they were clipping. And that is not because they were off. It is just because of where you were standing. The other thing you have to keep an eye out for, especially anywhere on there, is if there's dips in the ground. You do not want to be in those dips. The sound will shoot over your head and it will not sound as good. See if you can find a little bit of the high ground, like full Star Wars style, man. Get the high ground. Always helps. It will sound better, right? The other piece too, way in the back, cool, I understand it. Generally, that's if you're just going to bail out early anyway. You want to catch maybe 20 or 30 minutes of whoever it is before you go somewhere else, or you want to dip to the car to beat the traffic. I understand it. It's cool. I get it. We all do it. It happens from time to time, right? The orange area in front of it, you're just kind of a little bit further back. You get a lot of the crowd. It doesn't necessarily sound as good. It won't sound bad, but it won't sound as good. And it usually gives you an easy exit as well. The red area right behind the sound booth sucks. That is the worst place to be. You will not be able to see shit. You will not be able to hear shit. It will be miserable. Do not stand there. Don't go there. Don't even bother. Move away. You can go slightly to the sides and it's going to sound a million times better, right? All right, real quick recap. Railing, completely subjective. Totally get why people do it. Love actually doing it. If you're going to do it, just make sure you wear earplugs. Keep yourself safe. You don't want to ruin it for the rest of your festival experience, blowing out your eardrums, especially on the first night. Rows kind of 3 through 5, 3 through 10. It's cool. It's fun. Not as fun as necessarily being on the rail. It will probably sound pretty good, but you got all the problems of being up in that crowd if crowds are not for you, right? If you're a claustrophobic person, you don't want to be there. Money zone, in front of the sound booth, kind of midway back to between the sound booth. So midway between the stage and the sound booth, in front of the sound booth, absolute money's area. Tends not to be super, super, super crowded. You get a good view of the stage, gonna sound great. Great time. Highly recommend. My personal favorite area, usually right in front of the sound booth. Like I said, keep the totems low, make everybody be able to see. The two areas near the sound booth on the sides, kind of off, not directly behind, but off center, also very good. Usually gives you a good sight line. Usually sounds pretty good. Cool. All right, guys. Well, is video number 1. If you like the video, you like this kind of content that we're putting out here, this is the kind of things that we're going to be doing on iamravedad going forward. We're going to talk about tips, tricks, ways to keep yourself safe, product reviews, things that are good, things that are bad, different kinds of energy you want to bring to a rave, things you want to put in your bag, things you don't want to put in your bag. All the different things that come along with festival going from someone who's done it a bunch. I am Ravedad. Remember, if you like it, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then I will be back in a couple of days with another tip for you. Again, stay safe, Rave Kiddos. Ravedad, love you all.